The alarm klaxons had been silent for 3 hours when Jake Miller found her. She was crouched behind the maintenance shed with silver hair, matted with something that glowed faintly blue in the dim lunar twilight. Blood. Jake realized alien blood. Her pointed ears twitched at his approach and violet eyes snapped open, fixing him with a predatory stare that made his heart skip. "Stay back, human," she hissed in accented English, while one delicate hand moved protectively over the small scaled creature curled against her stomach. It looked like a dragon from old Earth legends, no bigger than a house cat, with obsidian scales that seemed to drink in the light. Jake raised his hands slowly, showing he meant no harm. The mining station had been evacuated hours ago when the Kraxan warships appeared in Earth's orbit, but he had stayed behind to secure the equipment, and now he was probably the only human for miles. "You are hurt," he observed, noticing the jagged tear in her strange form-fitting armor. The fabric seemed alive, shifting colors like oil on water. "Your powers of observation are remarkable," she said dryly, then winced as the dragon creature made a small, pained sound. "We need no assistance from your kind." Jake studied her for a moment, and despite her harsh words, he could see the tremor in her hands and the way she kept blinking, as if fighting to stay conscious. The dragon's breathing was labored, with its small chest rising and falling irregularly. "Look, I don't know what you are, or where you came from," Jake said slowly, reaching into his pack. "But you are bleeding out, and that little guy doesn't look much better. I have got food and medical supplies with no strings attached." Her eyes narrowed suspiciously as he pulled out his lunch, which was a still warm burger from the station cafeteria. One of the last real beef burgers they had gotten in the supply drop before everything went to hell. The smell of grilled meat and fresh bread filled the air between them. The dragon's nostrils flared, and it made a small chirping sound while the woman's stomach growled audibly, betraying her hunger. Jake could see the internal struggle play out across her angular features. We have nothing to trade," she admitted quietly, with her pride clearly wounded by the admission. Didn't ask for anything. Jake unwrapped the burger and tore it in half, setting one portion on a clean cloth midway between them before backing away. "Just eat, because you can threaten me later when you are not about to pass out." She watched him for a long moment, then carefully reached for the food while the dragon uncurled slightly, with its golden eyes fixed on Jake with an intelligence that seemed far too deep for such a small creature. As she took the first bite, tears suddenly spilled down her cheeks. She tried to hide them by turning her face away, but Jake saw. "When did you last eat?" he asked gently. 3 days, she whispered. "We were shot down by the Kraxan and my squad. They are all gone. It is just Shadowfang and me now." Jake's heart clenched as he pushed the other half of the burger toward her. "Here you need it more than me." She looked at him with something like wonder. "Why would you share your food with an enemy?" "Enemy, Jake," frowned Lady. "I don't even know what you are, but you are hurt, hungry, and alone. That makes you someone who needs help in my book." For the first time she smiled, which was a small, hesitant thing that transformed her otherworldly features into something achingly beautiful. "I am Lyra of the Stellar Guard," she said. "This is Shadowfang, my bonded companion. We came to warn your people about the Kraxan, but we were too late." "Jake Miller," he replied, "mechanic burger sharer, and apparently the welcoming committee for alien refugees." As Lyra ate, Jake used his emergency medical kit to tend their wounds. The dragon Shadowfang watched him with those unsettling golden eyes, but allowed him to apply a healing gel to a nasty gash on its flank. "Your medicine, it works." Honest Lyra sounded surprised. "Universal Combat Medical Gel," Jake explained, "developed after first contact with the Centauri and works on most carbon-based life forms." She finished the burger and closed her eyes for a moment. Then when she opened them, again they blazed with determination. "Jake Miller, you have shown us kindness when you had every reason to fear us. Among my people, sharing food creates a bond deeper than blood. You are pack now, family." Jake blinked. "I am sorry, what?" But before Lyra could explain, Shadowfang suddenly stood with scales bristling and a low growl rumbling from his throat. In the distance, Jake could see lights, which were Kraxan ground forces moving across the lunar surface toward the mining station. "They have found As Lyra struggled to stand while swaying dangerously, Jake caught her arm, steadying her. "There is an underground bunker system where we can hide there." She shook her head. "They have sensors and they will find us." Her violet eyes met his. "You should run because this is not your fight like hell," Jake said firmly. "You just said I am family, right? Well, family sticks together." Something shifted in Lyra's expression with surprised respect and a fierce protectiveness that made the hair on Jake's arms stand up. "You truly mean that?" Every word Shadowfang moved between them and the approaching lights, and Jake gasped as the small dragon began to grow. In seconds, it went from house cat to the size of a large dog with scales rippling with barely contained power. "Then we stand together," Lyra said with her armor beginning to glow with the same eerie light. "And I swear by the stars themselves they will not touch you while I still draw breath." The bunker system beneath mining station Echo 7 was a maze of tunnels and storage rooms, originally designed for meteor shower protection. Jake led them through the darkened passages, guided by emergency lighting and years of maintenance work. "How many cracks?" and Jake asked as they paused at an intersection. 12, maybe 15. Lyra replied, leaning against the wall. "Despite the medical gel, she was still weak, Scout Force, because the main fleet is engaging your military near Mars, and you came alone to warn us." "Not alone, because my squad was 5 strong." Pain flickered across her features. "The cracks fear your species, Jake Miller. They have heard the stories about how you survived nuclear war and how you tamed a death world and how you reverse-engineered FTL travel in mere decades. They mean to strike before you grow too strong." Jake processed this as he checked his tablet security feeds. "Show them entering the main dome. We have got maybe 10 minutes. Shadowfang made a soft, trilling sound pressing against Lyra's leg. She stroked his scaled head absently. "You should know that the food sharing was not just words. My species, we are different. When we share sustenance with another being, it creates a biological imperative I am literally incapable of abandoning." "You know, that seems like a design flaw," Jake said, trying for levity. She smiled grimly. "Perhaps, but it kept my people united through millennia of warpack bonds are everything to us." Her eyes found his in the dim light. "I need you to understand that I will die before I let them take you. This is not hyperbole or dramatics, but it is biological fact." The weight of that statement settled over Jake. "Then we had better make sure nobody dies today." He led them deeper to a maintenance room he had converted into. A makeshift workshop, tools and spare parts and half-finished projects littered the space. Lyra's eyes widened as she took it in. "You are an engineer-mechanic," Jake corrected, pulling out a plasma cutter. "But I have been tinkering with some defensive modifications. The mining company frowns on weaponizing equipment, but..." He shrugged. "Show me," Lyra commanded, straightening despite her injuries. For the next few minutes, Jake demonstrated his modifications, which were mining lasers, converted to defensive weapons, and magnetic field generators that could repel metal projectiles, and even a jury-rigged EMP device made from communications equipment. Brilliant, Lyra breathed. "My people would call you a war singer, which is one who makes deadly music from peaceful instruments." She picked up one of the modified mining lasers, and her armor interfaced with it immediately, with glowing symbols appearing along the weapon's surface. "Your technology is more compatible with ours than it should be. Is that good or bad?" "Very good." She turned. "To Shadowfang, guard the entrance, Shadowheart, and sing if they come." The dragon, which was now the size of a small horse, padded to the doorway with scales seeming to meld with the shadows. "He can change size?" Jake asked, fascinated. Despite their situation, Shadowfang is young, barely past his first molting in time. "He will grow large enough to ride the solar winds," Pride colored her voice. "He chose me when he was fresh from the egg. We have been together for 30 cycles, which is about 20 of your years." An explosion somewhere above made dust rain from the ceiling. The Kraxen were breaching the upper levels. "Tell me about them," Jake said, checking the charge on his modified tools. "The Kraxen, because know your enemy and all that." Lyra's expression darkened. "Imagine your worst predator given intelligence and spaceflight. They are silicon-based armor-plated nightmares that see organic life as either food or obstacles. They have consumed 3 systems already, stripping worlds bare, and nobody has stopped them. Many have tried, but the Galactic Council debates while worlds burn. Only a few species fight like my people and the Vox Republic and a handful of others. She looked at him intently. And now, humanity. Whether you chose it or not, because you are in this war. Another explosion closer this time. Shadowfang's scales bristled and a low harmonic hum filled the air, which was his warning song. They are in the tunnels, Lyra said, standing straighter. The brief rest and conversation had restored some of her strength. Jake Miller, I need you to promise me something. We are going to survive this, he said firmly. Perhaps, but if we don't and if I fall, then Shadowfang will choose whether to bond with you. If he does, you must take him to the Stellar Guard. Tell them, Lyra Starweaver fell, in defense of Earth. They will understand Starweaver, is that your full name? She smiled sadly. Was because when you fail to protect your squad, you lose the right to your achievement name. Now I am just Lyra. The humming grew louder and Jake could hear heavy footsteps approaching with multiple sets moving in formation. His mouth went dry. Hey, he said suddenly, for what it is worth. I am glad you crashed near my station. Even with the probably dying part, Lyra blinked, then laughed, which was a musical sound that seemed to light up the dim room. You humans are insane facing death and you make jokes. It is kind of our thing. She moved closer and Jake caught a scent like ozone and starlight. Then let me share something of my people. She touched 2 fingers to her forehead, then pressed them gently to his Kiara Nem Valor. You are seen, you are valued, you matter. Heat bloomed where her fingers touched, and for a moment, Jake felt connected, like standing in warm sunlight after a long, cold night. Then Shadowfang's hum became a roar and the Kraxan attacked. The first Kraxan through the door learned why humans had survived on a death world. Jake's modified mining laser caught its center mass, and the beam designed to cut through asteroid rock burned through its silicon armor like butter. The creature, which was 7 feet of crystalline death, shrieked and fell, but 3 more pushed through behind it. Lyra moved like liquid starlight with her own weapon singing as she danced between energy blasts. Shadowfang struck from the shadows with his claws, finding weak points in Kraxan armor with surgical precision. For a moment Jake thought they might actually win. Then the wall exploded. The Kraxan had brought plasma charges blowing multiple entry points. They poured in from 3 directions and Jake realized with sick certainty that they had been herded here. Behind me, Lyra shouted, and her armor flared to life. A shield of pure energy erupted around them, deflecting the barrage of enemy fire. But Jake could see the strain on her face because she was burning through her reserves. Think, Jake commanded himself. You are a mechanic, so solve the problem. His eyes fell on the EMP device, then tracked to the ceiling, specifically to the magnetic ore conveyor system that ran through the entire mining complex. Can you hold them for 30 seconds, he shouted over the din of battle. I will hold them for eternity if needed. Lyra gritted out. Jake sprinted for his workbench with fingers flying over the EMP device's controls. He had designed it to disable single pieces of equipment, but with the conveyor system's magnetic field as an amplifier. A Kraxan broke through Lyra's shield with its blade arm descending toward Jake Shadowfang, intercepted it, and dragon and alien rolled across the floor in a tangle of scales and silicon. The dragon was outmatched in size but not in fury as he tore at the Kraxan's joints with golden eyes blazing. Jake Lyra's voice cracked with strain. Almost there. Everyone with organic nervous systems might want to brace themselves. He slammed the activation switch, the lights went out, emergency power failed. For a heartbeat, absolute darkness reigned. Then the EMP pulse hit, channeled and amplified through tons of magnetic ore above them. The effect on the Kraxan was immediate and devastating. Their silicon-based neural networks overloaded, sending them into convulsions. Some collapsed entirely, while others fired weapons randomly hitting their own forces. But Jake had underestimated the pulse's effect on Lyra's technology. Her armor went dark and the protective energy field collapsed. She gasped, dropping to one knee as the suit's weight became dead metal. The neural feedback hit her like a sledgehammer and she screamed, which was a sound that made Jake soul ache Lyra. He rushed to her, dodging convulsing Kraxan. Shadowfang was at her side, instantly keening with distress. The armor, she gasped. It is neurally linked. The feedback Can you get it off? Not without tools. The clasps are electronic. Her violet eyes were glazed with pain. You need to run. They will recover faster than me. We have been over this. Family doesn't run. Jake grabbed his plasma cutter. Hold still because I am going to cut you out. You could kill me if you slip. Then I won't slip. She stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. Do it. Jake had never worked with such precision in his life. The plasma cutter parted the alien armor like a scalpel, following seams he could barely see. Lyra bit back cries of pain as the neurally linked suit resisted separation. Around them, the Kraxen were beginning to recover, with their silicon brains rebooting faster than Jake had hoped. Shadow Lyra whispered. The dragon understood immediately, growing to his full current, size which was nearly that of a cargo hauler. He positioned himself between them and the recovering enemies, with scales reflecting the emergency lighting that flickered back to life. Almost, Jake muttered, cutting the final connections. The armor fell away in pieces, revealing Lyra in a form-fitting undersuit that looked like woven starlight. She was smaller than he had realized and more delicate without the armor's bulk, but the steel in her spine remained. Can you stand? I am a Starweaver, she said fiercely, pulling herself up. I stand until I fall forever. A recovered Kraxen charged. Jake brought up the mining laser, but the charge was depleted. The alien's blade arm descended and stopped inches from Jake's face, caught in Lyra's bare hands. No, she snarled, and Jake watched in awe as her skin began to glow with the same light her armor had produced. You will not touch him. She twisted, using the Kraxen's momentum against it, and drove its own blade arm through its throat. The creature gurgled and fell. You can do that without the armor, Jake breathed. Not for long, she was already panting with the glow flickering. The armor channels and focuses our natural abilities. Without it, she didn't need to finish. More Kraxen were rising, and their communication crystals were beginning to pulse, calling for reinforcements. We need to move. Jake decided there is an old shuttle in Bay 7. Hasn't flown in years, but you can fix it. Lyra finished. It wasn't a question. Lead the way. Warsinger. They ran with Shadowfang, covering their retreat with bursts of superheated plasma, which was dragonfire in truth. Jake's mind raced through repair procedures, calculating what they would need to get the shuttle operational. They burst into Bay 7 to find it occupied. Jake Miller. Kate Williams stood by the old shuttle with plasma torch in hand and 3 other mining crew with her. We came back for equipment and saw the Kraxen. What the hell is that thing? She pointed at Shadowfang with barely contained terror. Long story, Kate. We need this shuttle operational in the next 5 minutes or we are all dead. His co-workers' eyes tracked from him to Lyra, to the dragon, then back. The Kraxen are here about 30 seconds behind us, right? Kate was already moving with her crew, falling into practiced patterns. Miller, you take engines, I will handle navigation. Lisa Beth, get those fuel lines connected, and someone tell me why there is a dragon and an elf in my shuttle bay. Alien refugee, Jake said, already elbow deep in the engine compartment. And her pet. They are with me. Of course they are, Kate muttered. Because Jake Miller can't just have a normal apocalypse. Lyra positioned herself by the bay entrance with Shadowfang at her side. Work quickly. They are coming. How many? Kate asked. All of them. Lyra replied grimly. They know I am a Starweaver. They won't let me escape to warn others about their presence here. Starweaver, Beth asked even as she worked. My people's warrior caste, we, are problematic for species like the Kraxen. She glanced back at Jake. How long? 3 minutes if we skip safety checks. Skip them. The bay doors exploded inward. Kraxen poured through and Lyra met them like a force of nature. Even without her armor, she moved like lightning, borrowing weapons from fallen enemies, using their own mass against them. Shadowfang breathed fire and struck from above with his growing size, allowing him to physically throw smaller Kraxen across the bay. But there were too many. Got it, Jake shouted as the engines hummed to life. Everyone in. Go, Lyra ordered. I will hold them, not without you. Jake abandoned the shuttle, grabbing a fallen Kraxen weapon. He had never fired an alien gun before, but how hard could it be? Very hard, it turned out. The recoil sent him spinning with shots going wild, but it distracted the Kraxan long enough for Kate to grab Lyra and physically drag her toward the shuttle. No heroic last stands on my watch, elf girl. They tumbled into the shuttle as plasma fire filled the bay. Jake slammed the hatch controls and Lisa fired the engines before the ramp fully closed. The shuttle lurched skyward with ancient systems protesting but holding. Through the view screen, Jake watched mining. Station Echo 7 shrink below them. Kraxan forces swarmed over it like silicon ants. Where to? Kate asked from the pilot seat. Earth's military will be at Luna Base Prime, Jake said. The human forces cannot stand against a Kraxan war fleet, Lyra said, quietly. She was slumped in a seat with exhaustion finally catching up. But perhaps we can give them the knowledge they need. She looked at Jake, and despite everything she smiled. You shared your food with me. War singer. Where you go, follow, that is the way. Luna Base Prime was in chaos when they arrived. Human fighters streaked across the black sky engaging Kraxan assault craft in desperate dogfights. The base's defensive guns fired continuously, filling space with tracers and plasma bursts. This is Shuttle, MT-7 requesting emergency landing. Kate broadcast. We have survivors from Echo 7 and critical intel about the enemy MT-7. This is Luna Control Landing Pad. 3 is wait. Did you say Echo 7? That station went dark hours ago. We have got 5 human survivors and 2 allied aliens with vital information. Clear us a pad, control a pause. Allied aliens MT-7 maintain holding pattern and prepare to be boarded, like hell. Kate muttered, then keyed the comm control. I have got Kate Williams, Jake Miller, Lisa Chen, Beth O'Brien, and Sam Liu from the mining crew. You can verify our IDs when we land. But every second we waste, more people die. Clear us a pad, or explain to Captain Ross why you delayed critical intel. Another pause longer. Then Pad 7 is clear. Security teams will meet you. Any aggressive action from your allied aliens will be met with lethal force. Understood. As they descended, Lyra touched Jake's. Arm your people, don't trust easily. Can you blame them? No offense, but first contact hasn't exactly been peaceful. None taken, but they will need to trust me if we are to survive this. She looked out at the battle raging above. The Kraxan brought a harvester fleet. Those aren't raiders, they are here to strip Earth bare. The shuttle touched down. Hard with Kate's piloting skills pushed to their limit. Security forces surrounded them immediately with weapons raised. Jake recognized the lead officer, Captain Maya Ross, hero of the Mars Defense Grid. Everyone out slowly. Ross commanded humans first. Jake's crew filed out with hands visible. When Lyra emerged, every weapon swung toward her. Shadowfang, reduced to his smallest size, pressed against her leg. Captain Jake stepped forward. This is Lyra of the Stellar Guard. She came to warn us about the invasion and is the reason any of us are alive. Ross studied Lyra with sharp eyes. You are Catherian. Your people refused to help when we requested aid against the pirates last year. My government refused, Lyra corrected. I didn't. That is why I am here, in a crashed scout ship instead of safe behind our defense grid. Her violet eyes met Ross's steadily. I have lost my entire squad trying to help your people. Captain, I would appreciate not being shot for my efforts. Captain, a tech sergeant ran up. We are tracking a massive Kraxan vessel emerging from the asteroid belt. Dreadnought class heading directly for Earth. Ross paled. How long? 6 hours at current speed. Our entire fleet couldn't scratch a dreadnought, Ross said quietly. Then decision made. She lowered her weapon. You said you have intel better, Lyra replied. I have 17 years of combat experience against the Kraxan. And more importantly, I know their weakness, which is harmonics. Their silicon structure resonates at specific frequencies. Find the right tone, and they shatter like glass. Lyra gestured to Shadowfang. Dragons evolved to hunt silicon-based prey. Their songs can find the resonance of any Kraxan one dragon against a fleet. No, but your mining operations use sonic drills. Yes, industrial-grade sound equipment. Lyra's eyes found Jake. And you have a war singer who can modify anything into a weapon? Understanding dawned on Jake. The Lunar Mining Network. We have sonic drills at every station, all networked together for synchronized operations. How many stations? Lyra asked. Urgently. 43 active, maybe dozen more in maintenance, Kate supplied. It could work. Jake breathed with his mind already racing through possibilities. We would need to modify the frequency generators, link them to a central control system, and somehow get Shadowfang's resonance patterns into the network. You have 6 hours, Ross decided. Whatever you need. You will get Miller. You are in charge of the technical side. Lyra, you will work with my tactical team. If this fails, it won't. Lyra interrupted. Jake Miller doesn't fail, he makes broken things work. The certainty in her voice made Jake's chest tight. No pressure or anything. Ross began barking orders and the base erupted into focused activity. Jake found himself at the center of a whirlwind of engineers and technicians all looking to him for answers. Okay, he said, pushing down panic. We need every sonic drill on Luna network together. Kate, can you handle the software integration? Already on it, she called, commandeering a workstation. Lisa Beth, I need you. To start modifying frequency generators, we need them to handle ranges way outside normal parameters. On it, boss. Jake turned to find Lyra watching him with Shadowfang at her feet. What do you need from us? Shadowfang's song, we need to record it, analyze the frequency patterns and figure out how to replicate it at industrial scale. The dragon chirped, almost seeming to understand. He says he is ready. Lyra translated. But Jake channeling that much sound through him could be dangerous. Dragons aren't meant to sustain their hunting songs for long periods. What is the alternative? There isn't one, she admitted. The next hours blurred together. Jake had never worked so hard or so fast in his life. Engineers from across the base contributed ideas, while soldiers hauled equipment, and somewhere Admiral Chen authorized the override of every safety protocol in the book. Shadowfang sang for the recording equipment with his voice shifting through octaves no human throat could produce. Jake watched the readouts in fascination as the dragon's song was a living thing, adapting in real time to find optimal frequencies. It is not just one frequency. He realized it is a cascading harmonic pattern that adjusts based on feedback. How the hell do we replicate that? Don't, Lyra said from behind him. She looked exhausted but determined. You create a carrier wave that Shadowfang can ride. He will provide the living pattern while your machines provide the power. Like a duet between dragon and machine, exactly. She smiled. Tiredly, I told you that you are a war singer. You make unlikely things work together at -2 hours, someone announced. Dreadnought has passed. Mars orbit. Jake forced himself to focus. One problem at a time. They could do this. They had to do this. Jake, Sam. Lou appeared at his elbow. We have got a problem. 3 of the mining stations aren't responding to remote access. Someone needs to go out and manually activate them. I will go, Lyra said immediately. Not alone. Jake countered. You are needed here. Without you, none of this works. She was right, and he hated it. Then take a team military escort. I will do better than that. Ross interrupted. I am going with her. My people, my responsibility. She looked at Lyra with newfound respect. Besides, I want to see a Starweaver. In action T-90 minutes. Dreadnought has entered lunar orbit. Jake watched Lyra suit up in borrowed human armor with his chest tight with worry. She caught his expression and stepped close. Hey, she said softly. Remember what I told you in the tunnels, Kai? Aranem Valor. You matter. She touched her forehead, then his. Make your song, Warsinger. I will make sure you have the instruments to play it. Then she was gone with Ross, and a squad of Marines following. Jake turned back to his work, pushing down fear time. To save the world. No pressure T-60 minutes. Enemy fighters launching from Dreadnought. The lunar surface erupted in warfare. Jake could see the flashes through the observation dome as he made final calibrations. Somewhere out there, Lyra was fighting. To give them the time they needed. Station 17 online. Kate reported Station 23, online Station 31. We have a problem. The connection's been severed. Reroute through Station 30. Jake ordered with his fingers flying over controls. We can create a resonance bridge if we boost the signal enough that could burn out the entire grid. Then we had better get it right the first time. T-30 minutes. Dreadnought charging main weapons. Through the chaos, Shadowfang appeared at Jake's side. The dragon had grown again during the preparations, now the size of a small aircraft. His golden eyes were solemn as he looked at Jake. "You ready for this, buddy?" Jake asked. The dragon rumbled, pressing his great head against Jake's chest for a moment. Jake felt that same connection he had experienced when Lyra touched his forehead with warmth belonging family. "All stations report ready," Kate announced. "Lyra's team has activated the manual stations. They are heading back, but Jake, they are being pursued. Heavy. Kraxan ground forces. How long until they reach base? 20 minutes if they are lucky. Minus 15 minutes. Dreadnought weapons locked on Earth." Jake looked at the readings one more time. Everything was ready. Theoretical, untested, and probably insane. But ready positions. Everyone. Kate, you are on network coordination. Lisa, monitor the frequency generators. Beth, Sam, watch for overloads and reroute as needed. He turned to Shadowfang. "You are with me, big guy, time to sing." The dragon moved to the specially constructed platform they had built with connectors linking him to the massive sonic network. Jake took his position at the control console with fingers hovering over the activation key. T-minus 10 minutes, all. Earth Defense Forces prepare for impact. Lyra's team is 5 minutes out, Kate reported, but the Kraxan are right on top of them. Jake could see them now through the dome, which was a running firefight across the lunar surface. Lyra's stolen armor caught the light as she spun and fought with Ross and the Marines laying down covering fire, but there were so many Kraxan. T-minus 5 minutes. "Come on," Jake whispered. "Come on, Lyra." An explosion. One of the Marines went down. Then another. Lyra grabbed Ross, who was limping, half carrying the captain toward the base. The Kraxan closed in. T-minus 2 minutes. They weren't going to make it. Jake could see that now. The math was simple and cruel. "Jake," Kate said quietly, "we have to activate now. Or Earth, I know." His hand hovered over the key. Save Earth or wait for Lyra. No choice at all, really. She would never forgive him if he chose her over billions. T-minus 60 seconds. Jake. Lyra's voice crackled over comms. "Sing your song, don't wait for us." He could see her clearly now, still fighting, still protecting Ross even as Kraxan surrounded them. Their eyes met across the distance and she smiled, that same bright, impossible smile from when he had shared his burger. "Kiara Nem Valor," he whispered and pressed. The key Shadowfang song erupted from 43 mining stations, simultaneously amplified beyond anything nature had intended. The sound was visible, rippling across the lunar surface in waves of force. The effect on the Kraxan was immediate and absolute. They shattered, not metaphorically, but literally crumbled like sandcastles hit by a tsunami. The ground forces dissolving, fighters exploding in silent bursts, and the dreadnought. The dreadnought screamed. Jake had never imagined a ship could scream, but there was no other word for the harmonics that tore through space as the massive vessel's superstructure resonated, cracked, and came apart. It was beautiful and terrible, like watching a mountain die. Shadowfang's song continued, with the dragon's body glowing with effort as he channeled impossible amounts of energy. Jake watched the monitors adjusting frequencies, riding the edge of catastrophe, as the sonic weapons pushed past every safety limit. Generators at 300% capacity, Lisa called. "We are going to lose them." "Hold on," Jake commanded. "Just a little longer." The dreadnought's death throes shook Luna Base. Chunks of silicon the size of buildings rained down on the lunar surface. But the Kraxan were broken, with their entire force reduced to glittering dust. Now Jake cut the signal. Shadowfang collapsed with his form shrinking rapidly as exhaustion took hold. Jake caught him with the dragon now. No bigger than when they had first met. He was alive but utterly spent. "Did we?" Kate started. "We did," Jake confirmed, staring at the readings, every Kraxan in lunar space gone. The base erupted in cheers, but Jake was already running for the airlock. Lyra and Ross were still out there, and without the Kraxan, he found them just outside the base perimeter. Ross was unconscious, but breathing, with her suit's medical systems keeping her stable. Lyra knelt beside her with helmet off, and silver hair spilling over armor that no longer glowed. "Hey," Jake said, dropping beside them. "You okay?" "Tired," Lyra admitted. "But alive. Your song. It was beautiful. War singer." The harmony of destruction and salvation mixed into one note. Shadowfang did most of the work. Shadowfang provided the voice. You provided the will. She looked at him, with those impossible violet eyes. Is it over? This battle? Yes, the war. Jake shrugged. That is tomorrow's problem. Today we are alive. Medical teams swarmed them, taking Ross for treatment. Jake helped Lyra to her feet, and they stood together looking at Earth blue and perfect in the sky above. Thank you, he said quietly, for coming to warn us, for fighting beside us, for everything you shared your burger. She replied simply, family protects family. 6 months later, Jake stood in the newly constructed Harmony Defense Center watching Earth's first mixed species squadron run through training maneuvers. Human pilots flew alongside Catherian warriors while dragon singers like Shadowfang provided harmonic support, frequency alignment at 94%. Kate reported from her station. Not bad for a bunch of miners turned alien tech specialists. We have come a long way. Jake agreed, adjusting his own console. The war singer designation had become official, and he was now Colonel Jake Miller, Earth's first harmonic weapons specialist. The title still felt strange. Incoming transmission from the Stellar Guard. Lisa announced, it is for you. Jake. The hologram materialized, showing a Catherian in elaborate ceremonial armor. Jake recognized the insignia, which was High Commander of the Stellar Guard war singer Miller. The commander began formally, I bring news. The Galactic Council has finally acknowledged the Kraxan threat. Your victory at Luna proved what we have long argued, that they can be defeated. The vote was unanimous. A united fleet will stand against them. That is excellent news, Commander. Indeed, but I actually called about a personal matter. The commander's expression softened slightly. Lyra Starweaver's achievement name has been restored by unanimous decree. Her actions at Earth and your testimony about her sacrifice and valor have cleared her record completely. She should know that she returns to us with full honors. Jake's throat tightened. Returns to you, her duty. Tour ends in 1 week. She is free to come home. The commander paused. She hasn't told you no. She hasn't. After the transmission ended, Jake found Lyra in the Dragon Rookery, which was a specially constructed habitat where Shadowfang and the dozen Earth-born dragons were raised. She was sitting with a young dragon teaching it the basic hunting song, so Jake said, settling beside her. Going home next week, she stiffened. You spoke with the commander. He wanted me to know your name was restored. Congratulations, Starweaver Jake. Were you going to tell me? Or just disappear one day, I don't know? She admitted quietly. Every time I tried to bring it up, I couldn't. You have to understand, I never expected this. Any of this I came to deliver a warning and die with. Honor instead, I found family. Jake finished family. She agreed, but my duty to the Stellar Guard screw duty. Jake interrupted. What do you want, Lyra? She was quiet for a long moment, watching the young dragon attempt a harmonic trill. Did you know that? In the last 6 months, more Catherians have volunteered to serve with Earth forces than in our entire previous Alliance history. They come because of the stories, the war singer and the Starweaver, the dragon who sang a dreadnought to death, the humans who turned mining tools into symphony weapons. That doesn't answer my question, doesn't it? She turned to him with violet eyes bright with unshed tears. Jake, my entire life was the Stellar Guard. Honor duty service, then a stubborn human shared his food with me and redefined everything. You asked what I want. I want to stay where I am needed, where I am valued not for my rank or my species but for who I am. So stay. It is not that simple. If I refuse recall, I will be stripped of my commission. No more Stellar Guard, no more access to Catherian resources. Lyra, Jake said patiently. Look around. We have built an interspecies defense force from scratch. We have got dragons singing in harmony with human tech. Yesterday, I watched you teach a Marine from Texas how to do that glowy thing with his hands. You think we need Catherian resources. We are the resources now. She laughed wet and shaky. When did you become the wise one? Right around the time you decided a burger was worth a life debt, he pulled out something he had been carrying for weeks, which was a small insignia, worked in earth metals and Cytherian crystal. Lisa made this. It is not official yet, but Admiral Chen is pushing for a new designation. Harmony Guard, Earth's answer to your stellar guard, but open to all species. Equal partners in defense of anyone who needs it. Lyra took the insignia with trembling fingers. Jake, the first oath is next week, same day as your supposed departure. Funny how that worked out. He grinned. So what do you say, Starweaver? Want to help a war singer protect the galaxy? You impossible human, she breathed, then launched herself at him in a hug that nearly cracked ribs. Yes, of course, yes. Shadowfang, now fully recovered and the size of a shuttle, rumbled approval. The young dragons picked up his tone with the rookery filling with harmonious song. Good, Jake wheezed, because Ross already had your name engraved on the commanding officer's door. What, Jake, I can't be, you are the most experienced anti-Kraxan fighter we have. You have trained half our forces, and Shadowfang won't work with anyone else for the big operations. He grinned. Face it, Lyra. You are stuck with us. The Stellar Guard won't be happy. They will get over it, especially when the Harmony Guard saves their asses in the next battle. She pulled back to look at him. You really think we can do this? Build something new, something better? I know we can. We have already started. He gestured to the rookery, where human and Cytherian trainees worked together, where dragons of Earth sang alongside their lunar cousin. 6 months ago, you were just a crashed alien, and I was just a mechanic. Now look at us. Now look at us, she echoed softly. The ceremony was held in the rebuilt Luna Base Prime, with representatives from dozen worlds in attendance. Jake stood at attention with the new Harmony Guard uniform, feeling right in a way his old mining gear never had. Beside him, Lyra wore matching colors with the insignia of Commander. Bright on her collar, Shadowfang perched behind them, now large enough that his head brushed the ceremony hall ceiling.